What's good, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Full Circle. I'm your host, as always, Harmon Jr. Please, feel free to find me at Harmon Jr. at all your favorite social media across the interwebs, far and wide. We're back, everybody. Can you believe it? We are about to close out March. We're almost there. We're halfway through the month. We've made a full year cycle since the dreaded March 2020, and it's weird. It feels like no time at all and all the time in the world. It's I both can't believe it and not amazed at all. Weird time to be alive for sure. But anyway, we got another great show for you today, and we have a great friend of the show, returning guest, Brenden Groom. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be back. I'm excited for today's show.
I know you are at the high count two. Two is the number of most appearances on the show, and you have a tie for the most appearances. Probably gonna make it three by the end of the year. We will
That
see. I'm sure you're gonna
I
be back.
I love to hear that. Yeah, I'll take that crown. I'll run with it.
So, just in case for those who aren't familiar with you and your work, who are you and what do you do, sir?
So, as Odell said, my name is Brendan. I am the host of the Pass the Controller podcast and the editor for Pass the Controller. So, our main thing is a weekly show where we talk about the latest in games and nerd culture. And I do a lot of writing as well for the website for reviews or other editorial stuff. And we stream occasionally, but our biggest thing is the podcast for sure.
Most definitely. And I love that phrase, stream occasionally, because that's what I say. It's completely not true. I stream every once in a blue moon, but I've streamed enough to where I can say occasionally. That may be 7 minutes ago or 7 months ago, but occasionally it
Yeah,
happens. It happens.
you
But
just it's another asterisk. You can just throw it up there. No one needs to know. No one needs to fact check that.
exactly. But we're here every week on the show for you, everybody. So how about that? And this week is no different. We got some great stuff to talk about with you today. So today we're going to be talking about something that's going to be a little controversial. It's going to be at the end of the show, so don't worry. We're going to be talking about Xbox, Bethesda, and Game Pass. And more specifically, is Game Pass over the hill? And before you get, your pitchforks, your torches, all that good stuff, just hear me out. Just hear me out, but we'll save that. Before that, we're going to be talking about Nintendo. And yes, I know we had a month of Pokemon, and since then, Nintendo has been a topic every show. I'm trying to get away from Nintendo people, but they keep doing interesting things, like claiming this year, 2021, will be their biggest sales of software, period. We're talking about software, not hardware, software. So, but that's interesting because, Brendan, unless I missed something, a lot of games aren't announced. And most of them, if I mean all of them except like one, are remakes. So I don't know. We're gonna discuss what Nintendo talking
Yeah,
about there. That's
I
interesting.
think there's some stuff under the surface we don't know about.
Oh, most definitely. But before that, we're starting this off with Tiger Woods. Yes, people. Tiger Woods. He recently had a documentary about his life on HBO Max and HBO the channel. That was interesting. I actually saw that. It was about his rise and fall, if you will. And now he's back in the video game world. He's after his little scandal back whenever that was. I don't know, eons ago. It feels like
It really does.
he's getting back in the video game world with 2K. Yes, the makers of the world's greatest NBA franchise, because I think they killed the other one. I don't know. When was the last time we had an NBA live game? Like '03,
A while ago.
'01. I
One
don't.
one one that was good. I couldn't even tell you. 98 maybe.
So pretty much 2K. So yeah, Tiger has signed with 2K to make a Tiger Woods golf game, PGA Tiger. I don't know what they're gonna call it, but for an undisclosed amount of money, they have acquired HB Studios. They have bought it, and they're going to use that to make the new Tiger Woods game. And Brent, I gotta say, what do you have to think about this? Because personally, I thought sports superstars games were like a thing of the past. I thought they were dead in the water.
Yeah, it's been a while. Like I know growing up, like Nintendo always had like NBA Courtside, which like always had Kobe on the cover, and they had I think Ken Griffey baseball too. So like there was a point in time where that was the thing. Obviously, Tiger was like the face of EA's golf games for a long time, probably like a decade at this point. Um, But yeah, other than like Madden having rotating, cover stars for football, and like the same thing for FIFA, which I feel like doesn't probably get as much fanfare, at least not in the United States. Um, yeah, it's kind of not bizarre to see this kind of return, but it feels kind of out of place.
Yeah, most definitely. For anyone who wasn't in that early '90s, 2000 era, we had like Tiger Woods, PGA Tour, what have you, '01, '02, '03, etc. And then, you say we had the Ken Griffey baseball. And actually, I would say being a Madden cover athlete used to be like an event. They had
Hmm.
full on lead ups, reveals, debates, arguments. It was a big deal. And then it, kind of devolved into who's kind of popular, who's kind of hot. And then,
Hmm.
you had multiple, like, here's the edition with the MVP, here's like the fan favorite, here's, and then, and to a lesser extent, 2K used to do the same thing. But now, you have like LeBron edition, Kobe edition, the regular edition, the I got it at Walmart cover, I got it at Target cover. I'm serious. It's like, man, I don't know what their overhead on is producing like 6 different covers for one game, but apparently,
Yeah,
it sells. But
I think. Oh, go ahead.
no, you got it. You good.
Well, so like I don't personally care about golf too much, but I did used to play the Tiger Woods golf games, and they were good. So I'm wondering if like part of this is like after Tiger was no longer the face of the games for EA, I think they switched it to Rory McIlroy, uh, and then they kind of stopped making them. I don't think they've made a golf game in a while, at least a few years. I'm wondering if they're hoping to use Tiger as like not only obviously Tiger Woods, but as like a hey, we're about to make those good golf games that you remember.
Yeah. And so I thought about that, one, if they were going to do that, why put Tiger on the cover? I mean, besides being the best golfer to ever golf, duh. But
Hmm.
with the controversies, he was recently in a wreck not too long ago. His leg got mashed up. His career might
That's
be
right.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking like it's weird. Well, I guess it would be like putting Michael Jordan on something. It doesn't matter if he doesn't play or not. He's Michael
Yeah, that's
Jordan.
true.
But with the culture the way it is now, I don't know if people are over the scandal or if they even care. Because I feel like you're in either one camp. One, you don't care about the scandal, but you also don't care about golf. So you're not
Yeah.
getting the game. And if you do care about golf, you might care about the scandal and might not care for Tiger. So that's a weird, like,
Yeah.
like who could this possibly appeal to? Or, no one could just care about the scandal in the morning. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's definitely a gray area where I guess we'll find out soon what this means and if it matters to the people who buy this type of game. I I really I don't know. I feel like it's been a long time since that stuff happened. So, maybe that that doesn't, hurt the Tiger Woods brand as much anymore, or the game at least.
Yeah, most definitely. And here's my tinkering hat, if you will. My journalistic with the little billfold that I write notes on in my hat and my pen ready to talk really fast and a East Coast Boston accent, your hometown. It's like, report us but what would this mean going forward if this game is hugely successful, like, breaks records and stuff? Are we gonna see the return of WWE with like Poster Child and Madden with Poster Child and things of that nature?
I think so. I mean, I don't think people would necessarily be opposed to that. The difference with I guess with golf as compared to like team sports is if they were to like change Madden to be like Tom Brady's NFL, I think you'd have a lot of people very upset because well, I guess maybe Tom Brady's too volatile of a one to use, but if it was like, someone from the Patriots and then like the game that anyone who doesn't like the Patriots is going to be like, well, I don't want to play, you know, this game anymore because I hate the Patriots. Whereas like Tiger Woods, maybe you dislike Tiger, but it's not like I don't know. I'm wondering if like the
I get
team
what you're saying.
aspect might mess it up.
No, you're right, because golf is not like Tiger is representing the East Coast, West Coast, a city, state.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm the best at this singular sport. Versus, I could be like, I grew up in Green Bay, So
Mm,
I hate. God, I'm doing horrible. Oh, I grew up in Houston. I do not like Dallas. Any team
yeah.
affiliated with Dallas, I do not like. So if it was just like the Cowboys edition, Cowboys, Madden, I'll be like, oh no. I didn't buy Madden before, but now like I don't know. I'm gonna go like I don't destroy something.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy a copy just to break it.
But then I would be giving money to Dallas. Oh man, see, and
Oh,
then
fair enough. Yeah.
the
So then,
the
yeah, you're gonna.
conundrum.
Well, I guess the NFL is a bad example because there's no other football games. But I guess I, I, I don't know. It's weird because like with MLB, you pretty much got the show, and I feel like that name is kind of solidified as its own brand. So they probably wouldn't maybe do that, but who knows? I could see it working better if any of these games did it with a retired athlete who is like well respected, because then it's less about the team and more just about that person's legacy, maybe.
Yeah, most definitely. And I found it interesting. Well, I guess EA has no interest in picking it up, but 2K was the one to reach out to Tiger and just give me a ballpark figure. How much money do you think they gave this man?
It,
Because
I
I feel
don't.
like when you don't say it, it's way too much.
Yeah, it's either way too much or it's embarrassingly low for Tiger. Like there's no middle ground. It's either like a over the top number or too little. How, was it for 5 years?
It was for. I know it said it for an extended. There's a lot of fluff words. I personally can't confirm for how many years from my extensive research with my reporter hat, but
I would say my guess is that there's probably like an upfront, maybe a couple million, and then depending on if the games sell well, I bet he gets like maybe a percentage of that if the games do well, which I guess would maybe be incentive for him to keep his name, clean and not and not do anything else that might like tarnish the game.
that's true. I wonder if it's a coincidence because Mario Golf got back on the scene, and oh look, lo and behold, here comes this Tiger game. Conspiracy.
I can get on board with that. Maybe they reached out to Mario first and he said no, so then they went
Oh,
with Tiger.
definitely. I can see that happening. We live in an age, people, where you don't have to be right. You just need to have a conspiracy theory and enough people to believe it, and boom, you're in business. We're the
You're not wrong.
QAnon of gaming over here. 2K reached out to Mario first. Nintendo was like, nah, we're gonna do our own thing. And they're like, oh, bet we got you. We're gonna compete you with Tiger. You know what? We're gonna have the dual cover release. It's gonna be the Switch version. Is gonna be like Mario and Tiger back to back.
I would buy it just for that,
I, I
probably.
would, I would. I'm not gonna lie. It was just like when NBA Streets came out with the Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation version thing. However, they did
Hmm.
that, and you had like the 3v team of Mario, Princess Peach, and Luigi, and it was just like, I, how can I not? I saw the meme the other day where it was like, never forget when Luigi crossed up Vince Carter, and I was like, oh man, oh
It's so
man.
good.
It's so good. And, it's also so bad because they didn't even try to make the models fit in with like the streets at all. They just took like a Mario model, Luigi model, and just put them in there.
Put him in there. Yeah.
It's like they literally look like someone like wearing like a mascot costume because they're so overly huge compared to like the regular size people.
Yeah.
But
It's pretty great.
yeah, it
I
is.
wouldn't hate if they did that again. I mean, at that point too, bringing back NBA Street, right?
Oh yeah, most def. All those fun things we used to have back in the day, like with Soul Calibur and guest characters in games. They look so goofy and they were so fun. But I'm like, they could do it now, and they could probably do like a more realistic one for one. Like they don't feel like you just threw them in there and it looks goofy. Like I think that would be fun. I mean, it
Yeah.
probably never happened. I think the era of games having epic crossovers like that, especially across the big three, are kind of over. You
Yeah.
know,
It seems
but
like Fortnite and Smash are like the only things that can do that at this point.
oh yeah, most definitely. Fortnite's an interesting beast. I'm not. It's weird. I don't dislike Fortnite as a game. I think it's weird that it became a game about a sub game that wasn't the real game, and the real game is kind of like lost to the sands of times. The zombie survival thing.
Hmm.
And now we have
I don't even know anybody that plays the single player like the original game. I don't know anyone that's ever played that.
I know it was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. It was within recent memory that they had a thing that they were finally updating the single player because apparently like once it took off they stopped like updating it or giving it proper care.
Hmm.
And they finally gave it like a update to where it was supposed to be originally. Like it's not as bad as this, but it's pretty close that it was still pretty much in beta like the single player mode.
Jeez.
Like in terms of love and care it's gotten since release.
Yeah.
Since Fortnite's a freemium game, so I don't really necessarily say at what point is this game released or complete because it
Hmm.
never is, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so there was a very small, obviously minority that was like, "Oh, look at these updates we got for the single player mode," and they were still missing things that were promised since like since it was first announced, at PAX and stuff. So I was like, man, I guess at some point you just got to hang up the hat and just know what you're dealing with.
Oh,
Then
Fortnite.
yeah, but I digress. My point was every time I see the crossovers, they just get crazier. It's like Marvel, Kratos, Master Chief. I'm just like, bruh, y'all just have money.
They just have they're just buckets of money over there. I think I think today the new season dropped, and I think Lara Croft is now in the game.
And oh, we saw the new Joy Cons for the Switch,
Hmm.
which didn't really appeal to me. So thank
Nah,
God.
those are kind of whatever in my opinion too.
Yeah, I mean they're just kind of a blue and a light blue.
They're no Skyward Sword ones.
Oh God, I didn't even know the pre-orders went up. I just went to Twitter and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, the pre-orders are sold out," and I was like, "I didn't. How did I miss? Oh well, I didn't need to spend $60-$70." But speaking of Nintendo and their sales, so as I said earlier in the show, Nintendo said this is going to be their biggest year, what they're predicting for software. And I think they're crazy because if they would have said hardware, I would have been like, okay, the new Joy Cons, the supposed new Switch, according to Bloomberg, is coming, and Nintendo isn't saying anything, so I'm assuming it's true. But they said software, and I don't think Nintendo's been doing bad, since the end of 2019. But I wouldn't say they're doing anything amazing. So, of course, the rumor mill is they just have, all these unannounced great titles coming our way. And do you think there's any truth to that?
I definitely think that there's stuff that is coming that'll probably be really great that we don't know about. I'm just it's interesting that that's the way that they're saying. We are going to have one of the best years, if not the best year, software wise, because that makes me think that we're going to get probably maybe some other Zelda games, maybe not Breath of the Wild sequel, but we'll probably get maybe Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD because those will all three of those will probably sell well, and then we got the Pokemon remakes, we got Pokemon Snap, but I feel like there still has to be some other thing, especially if you look at last year. I mean, Animal Crossing sold like 30 million. You know what I mean? And unless they're just hoping or predicting that Animal Crossing will do like another, you know, large, I would actually be shocked if they did like another 30 million this year, but they'll probably do like maybe another 5-10 million with that this year. Um, but there's got to be something else. There has to be some other game that people are going to be excited about that's going to sell 10 million copies, 15 million copies. I
Yeah,
just don't know exactly what that could be.
and I agree with you, but I was looking at the numbers, and people, have obviously said this that if you look at the years of like back to the Wii, and then like you said, Animal Crossing last year, you know, Nintendo then themselves, set records upon records, with their
Hmm.
creativity and things. So this is not a small feat. This isn't one good game. This isn't two. I feel like this has to be multiple games
Yeah.
all firing at a high cylinder to get anywhere near that. Like if it was like Sony or Xbox saying that, I'd be like, okay, give them two AAA knockout of park titles, they can probably reach that.
Yeah.
But Nintendo, dare I say, needs like 3 to 4, and that's even including all the remakes that's coming out. So we have the Pokemon remakes of Gen 4 with Brilliant Diamond or Dazzling Diamond, Brilliant Pearl. We have a new Pokemon Snap for sure. We have Skyward Sword remake, and I might be forgetting one, but we supposedly might be getting Breath of the Wild 2. But that's all that we kind of basically know for sure, and that's all the games that will do numbers. All those
Yeah.
games will do numbers. Honestly, I don't think they'll do anything spectacular. The Pokemon remix will sell well, but they're not gonna break any records probably.
Hmm.
Um, Skyward Sword, most definitely not, in my personal opinion. I'm not even sure how good a 3D All Stars did, but I'm pretty sure it did well. But I know it didn't do anything like earth shattering.
Yeah. I mean, for games that could get new games, like series that could get new games that could really put up some numbers, maybe we get Mario Kart 9. I don't
Oh,
personally think that's happening, but like Mario Kart 9 would do numbers. Like
oh, most definitely.
that would sell. Um maybe we're getting a new Mario game. Maybe we're getting an Odyssey 2. That would probably sell really well. But yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of those games could add up to some good numbers, but you're right, they probably need another big game to drop for them to even come close to beating their other record years.
So here's back on my QAnon hat, my gaming QAnon, which I'll think of some clever word combining Q and gaming. But so can let's just say for the sake of the argument, can we both agree we're getting an upgraded Switch this year? 4K, OLED, all the bells and whistles.
I think it's pretty likely, yeah.
Yeah. With that said, we're not gonna get that obviously until I assume November, Christmas time. So I don't think it could do those numbers in when's the fiscal year end? March?
I think March, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know it could do those numbers in 4 months. But let's just say it comes out with enough time where that's the summer or September or something. This is what I can see happening. So we get 4K Switch that's let's say on par power graphically PS4. Let's say like a half step between PS4 and PS5. It clearly won't be Xbox levels, Xbox Series or PS5 levels. We know that.
Mhm.
But it can do maybe PS4 level, maybe a little bit better than that. And honestly, I think that's all Nintendo needs. So what we end up getting is the stuff we know. We get Breath of the Wild 2 or New Zelda, like you said. Maybe it's just a new Zelda. We get our Metroid Prime 4. We get maybe a new Mario. I'll say Mario or Zelda. Our Metroid Prime 4 and Mario Kart. So all that we're doing numbers. We're doing
Oh
numbers
yeah.
up the wazoo. And we're probably seeing crazy numbers because people are gonna be like, okay, I now need to get the new Switch and look at all these new games. It's kind of like PS5 and Xbox Mania. Yeah, I can play this on the old Switch, but why would I do that when it's optimized for a Super Nintendo Switch?
Yeah.
So you're
I
doing
mean, Metroid Prime 4, if that drops, I really don't know. I don't think that's coming this year, but if it does, between everything else we know about, they throw Mario Kart in there with that, like you said, that's a wrap.
yeah. It's not a wrap yet because here's the kicker of why I think they can easily hit that goal and why they so confidently said it. So we get all of that right, or even half of that. But now that we have the 4K Switch, we get the new Call of Duty, we get the new um
Hmm.
I can't think of
Like
another
Assassin's Creed or
yeah,
Resident
yeah.
Evil. Yeah.
Resident Evil, Assassin's Creed, uh what's the other big we got all the Ubisoft titles, wherever it comes.
Yeah.
The new Watch Dogs. So now we have all this new, and then even it doesn't have to be the new, it can just be the most recent. It
Yeah.
can be the most recent. Now we get all these titles on Switch, all these big third party titles on Switch. And then now you're gonna have these people being like, oh, I love, because we've seen it all the time. Oh, I love insert game here. Put it on Switch. I love insert game here. Well, now the Switch is powerful enough to handle all those third party titles. So now we get the influx of those, and those ain't gotta do numbers. Let's just say each of those do a mil a piece, plus
Mhm.
that we're done, game over.
That's a lot. I think too. I think it's possible that to keep up bumping those numbers up, I wouldn't be shocked if you look at all of the anniversaries that Nintendo has this year, you got Pokemon, you got Zelda, you got Metroid anniversary, Donkey Kong anniversary. I think this is also a Pikmin anniversary year. So like we could be getting more ports that we don't know about. We could be getting like I heard rumors at one point of like a Metroid Fusion remake Like we could
Ooh.
be getting stuff like that, and like all those things are gonna, like you said, just keep adding up to pile onto that big number. So maybe we're just gonna get a bunch of old things. We haven't gotten a new Donkey Kong platformer in a while. Tropical Freeze was a while ago, so maybe we also get a new Donkey Kong Country game sneaking out.
I mean, you're right. Like, it sounds crazy, but then, like you say, it's Nintendo, so I highly doubt they'll do anything that anyone expects. But
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna just get like Switch Fit, which is like a new Wii Fit, and that's gonna sell like 100 million copies, and that's why they say that.
yeah, but assuming, I feel like they wouldn't even have to do all of this if they did just half of this, especially with the new console and third party support. I feel like they can just hit just crazy numbers,
Yeah,
crazy numbers. And because if you think about it, since 2018, I've been saying this, 2019, 2020, the first quarter of 2021, if you will, we haven't seen much software from Nintendo. And if you only want to count things that are new, so we're not talking about remakes or repackaging, I think, I don't know, we've seen maybe two, three new games, and let's just say Pokemon doesn't count, then um, I mean, what have we seen? So I feel like we can easily just get all this dropped into our laps.
yeah, I think you're right.
I mean that would be crazy because that would ruin all my plans to play games this year. It would just be like I, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go to
Yeah,
bed.
I I think yeah, I think it's very likely that they got a lot of stuff cooking that we're gonna have some direct in the middle of the year, and we're gonna all be jaws on the floor thinking about our wallet and our time and how it just disappeared.
Oh, completely. Like I've already mentally set like $500 back for the next Switch,
Mm,
which knowing Nintendo, it won't be that much, but that'll be enough for like the Switch and like some games, and I'll be good. But just to flip gears, we're talking about the lack of software per se. I want to talk about the oversaturation of hardware with Game Pass. Yes, people, Game Pass is a great deal. This is all just Brendan. Is Game Pass great? Yes or no?
and Game Pass, fantastic. I
All right,
love Game Pass.
there it is. Everyone is in agreement. Listeners, you're in agreement. We're in agreement. It is great. But with that said, I remember I had Hip Hop Gamer on a earlier show, excuse me, where he was talking about that something's gonna have to give because Game Pass is great. It's at an extremely stupid level of value, but someone's paying the cost somewhere, and that someone's probably Microsoft. And it got me thinking because we just recently got announced Undertale's coming to Game Pass. Play it in the story.
The
Um,
game's fantastic.
yes. Outriders is coming to Game Pass day one, which some people say is a bad thing because that game's gonna suck. That's why they're doing that. But I digress because I have zero opinion or a horse in the race on Outriders, so I wish them
Yeah,
well.
same.
But are we getting to a point, Brendan, of Game Pass where it's becoming like Netflix in the sense that it's just literally just everything all at once, and you can't really to shift through it is becoming. It used to be a point where I could go to Game Pass and be like, look at these games. And I was getting to the point where like, just look at I don't even know where to start. I'm just gonna play, this.
I mean, maybe we might be on the opposite sides of Game Pass here then, because I love Game Pass. For me, like the thing with Game Pass is I think there's such a good variety of stuff on there, and they update it a lot. Stuff leaves and stuff comes on, and it gives me the option to try a lot of stuff that I normally probably maybe never would have bought, and I end up finding a lot of stuff that I actually really like. Um, so like I throw everything on there because like I want to try everything. It gives me such a great opportunity to try stuff. I think there definitely could be a point where there might be a lot of stuff on there, but I think that they try to keep it to a point where it's at least curated a little bit so that there's not too much of one genre or there's stuff there for everybody. But and unless they start raising the price or making different levels of like if you get Game Pass regular, you get access to this stuff, but if you get Game Pass Plus, you get all this stuff too. I think that's when things could maybe get a little too much or confusing, or you know, they need to figure out how to slim it down. But unless the price doesn't go up or they don't make levels to the subscription, like how Disney Plus does, when they put out their brand new movies, you have to pay in addition. Like I think the new Pixar movie, like Raya, the Last Dragon, I think you have to pay like $40 to watch it on top of paying for Disney Plus. So as long as they don't start doing stuff like that, I think things are in an okay space.
Oh, okay. I have another question for you, which I know you're gonna think I'm crazy. You too, listeners, but I promise, follow me. Follow me. Do you think Game Pass is reaching a level which every it's been ramping up. We got Bethesda, and it's like the Bethesda games are coming, which surprise, surprise, everyone saw coming.
Mm-hmm.
Or you think we're gonna reach a point where Game Pass is impressive in name only, but like, are people using it? Because I'm at a point now where I feel like I see a lot of people talk about Game Pass, but not a lot of people using Game Pass. This is just in my sphere. I know a lot of people who have it or say it's great, but I have asked people, like, how many games from Game Pass are you playing or downloading, and it'll be like, oh, I got like one, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be different spheres, because like right now on my Xbox, besides like stuff like Overwatch or whatever that I play regularly, I'm playing Kingdom Hearts for the first time, and that's through Game Pass. I played Doom 1993 the other day when the Bethesda stuff came on, because I never played the original Doom. So I personally play Game Pass stuff very often, and like I already played and beat Undertale. I'm probably gonna download Undertale when it comes to Game Pass and play it again, because why not? And I know a lot of my friends do rotate through stuff on Game Pass. But I could definitely too see people as they might buy it or down or have it and barely use it, but that stinks for the consumer that it's not a thing they want to use. But for Microsoft, that's part of what they want. They want people to subscribe, and whether they use it or not, they're still getting that money, that $15 a month or whatever it is.
Make sure to check out Becky. The explosive new horror comic is coming soon. Shay is a woman who thought she had it all. A black man to build a black family and a black life. Until the night the demon in disguise returned. Is Shay the one to finally stop Becky? Join our email list today at www.gogetbecky.com. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes content when you sign up. Once again, that's www.gogetbecky.com.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I say this, but I'm right in that corner because I finally got the notification that my Game Pass $1 3-year subscription, however long it's been going on for a while, it's done. I got to switch over to the $6.99, $8.99, whatever it is a month, and I was just like, yeah, sure, that's cool. Because I'm not gonna go through the hassle of trying to renew and reconnect, and I'm okay with $8 quietly going away in the night every month. I'll see you later, $8. But it's just because I was literally going through the library 2 days ago just to see what I wanted to play. Like you said, there's a lot of games like that's to me Game Pass's greatest strength, if you will. It's almost like a modern day demo disc. Except I can actually play the full game if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm looking through and I'm just like, yeah, man, this is great. I use it mainly for my PC just because for system constraints, I didn't want to like just burn out my Xbox storage space.
Yeah, of course.
And when I was shifting through it, I was getting that weird Netflix sensation of like, because Undertale is really what made me want to drive this on topic, because it's like Netflix in the sense that like there's great games here. There no doubt about it. But it's like, is it really just gonna be? Am I only gonna ever play the games that people say I should play? Like Undertale. It's like Undertale's coming to Game Pass. Like, oh, I'm gonna replay it and I'm gonna play that. And it's the FOMO, the fear of missing out. The sensationalness of it. And then I also thought, is Xbox pumping so much money into this, maybe at a loss of themselves, just to keep everyone else out of the market?
Oh no, finish you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really thinking that Stadia and everything else, like could this literally just be a ploy that when, let's say, God forbid, for me personally, everything goes digital only, that they'll be like basically the only spot to get it?
I think it's definitely. I think they're doing a couple different things. I think for one, it's to hopefully for them like drive that the Xbox brand like comes with so much value. I think over time you'll probably see the library maybe not shrink, but definitely not have as much non-Xbox stuff on there, only because once all these, at this point it's like, all of the Bethesda ZeniMax studios plus the 20 or so other studios that Microsoft acquired. Once all of those studios start putting their games out day and date on Game Pass, you're going to have, you already have all the Gears of Wars, all the Halos, but then you're going to have the new Gears of Wars and the new Halos and the new Forzas and Perfect Dark and, Fable and, Hellblade 2 and anything else that these developers are working on. So it's going to probably evolve at some point to be less other stuff and more like you get access to Microsoft's games with some other stuff. I mean, if the EA deal, I don't know how long that's supposed to last, but like all of not all of, but a lot of EA's games are currently on there. There's a rumor of Ubisoft games also joining that list too. So, I mean, it could be them just trying to be like, no one else is going to have this service, because to me, it's kind of wild that PlayStation hasn't. Like, I don't expect Nintendo to make this type of thing, but it's wild to me that PlayStation, that Sony hasn't done a similar service. I know they have PlayStation Now and they have like the PlayStation Classics. I don't have a PS5 yet, but they have a thing that you can play PS4 games. Correct? I forget what it's called.
Yeah, it's basically they selected like the best, quote unquote titles, and you can download those, and it's hit or miss. It's like, yeah, I always wanted to play that. I love the game. It's just like, it's kind of middle of the road, to be honest.
So like, is there some stuff on Game Pass that I'll never touch? Probably, but I feel like at least for me and like the variety of games that I like to play, and I like to try new things. So for me, Game Pass is like, I hope they continue to keep pumping it out and putting a lot of stuff on there. But I mean, like you said, kind of the same thing as Netflix. There's a lot of stuff that I scroll by and I'll probably never click on or never download and try it. But I feel like, at least for me and my gaming taste, there's enough there, and there's enough there that comes frequently that I get kind of excited about.
As you were saying that, you brought up an interesting point that got me thinking. So let's say, Game Pass is a huge success. No one's going to argue that. So let's say when these contracts run out, with EA, let's say Ubisoft hop on, and I don't know how long the terms are, but let's just say we reach a point where all these contracts end, and we're basically looking at, Xbox branded family titles only. So, stuff that's, Bungie and Bethesda and 343 and et cetera, the mini studios that they now have, Double Fine, right? Double Fine is one of them.
Yeah.
And so all that, and everything else more or less goes away, unless it's something just really big, really third party. It kind of goes away. Would you still keep Game Pass? Because basically you were paying however a month just to play Xbox games.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would, but I also like. I don't foresee, just the way that Game Pass works to me, and the way that the way that it will be able to remain successful is I feel like there has to be enough on there and enough variety. Because like even when all of those studios start putting out more games and there's more Microsoft stuff for them to have on there, for someone like me who plays a lot of Xbox and plays a lot of those games, if I'm playing everything they put out and I beat it, then yeah, there really is no reason for me to keep it. So I feel like for the business side of things, they'd have to at least keep enough other stuff fresh and coming on to justify the people who might play and beat. The new Fable comes out. All right, I played that, I beat that, but the next Gears isn't coming out for 3 months, for 6 months. Why would I keep this service? I feel like they have to keep enough on there that it keeps the people who, are maybe there for the primarily Xbox stuff to stick around.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I guess on the flip side of that token, let's say they do keep enough on there, right? To
Hmm.
keep you going. I wonder what this is going to do for their software sales because obviously any first party Xbox game is coming to Game Pass day one. I assume. I don't know that, but I just assume that's what they would do.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have Game Pass, and let's say Xbox consistently has enough stuff throughout the year to justify me keeping it. It'll be like, why would I ever buy an Xbox game again? And I
Hmm.
and I'm just wondering, is that a model they could sustain? Like,
I
would there be enough subscriptions to offshoot the $2-3 million sales of something physical or digital?
I think it is. I think obviously there's going to be people who don't ever get Game Pass, or maybe they can get it for a little bit and drop off and they go back and forth. So you'll still have people that buy games no matter what. That with Microsoft specific games that are going to be dropping their day one, there will be a drop off. Like I haven't purchased a Microsoft first party game in a while, only because I know I can play it on Game Pass. I don't need to buy it. But the way that the business model works out, I believe it's $15 a month for Game Pass right now, and the math has got it has to be profitable, because why else would they wouldn't be able to sustain that if it wasn't. And this is something they've been building for a long time now. So I feel like if the math didn't check out for them, that they wouldn't have continued. I mean, they continue to lean into this. Phil Spencer, when last week when Phil Spencer sat down with, they had that interview about Bethesda officially joining Xbox Game Studios. They had brought up multiple times how, part of this venture was to strengthen Game Pass and like build up more, core stuff in Game Pass. So like the Microsoft model for them is Game Pass is here to stay for them. So that that structure, that payout must work out in their favor, or else I can't imagine why they would do that. I guess if you were to look at like the sales history of like Gears of War and Forza and Halo prior to Game Pass, you could maybe try to do like some fake math about like, all right, Halo 5 sold, I don't know, 5 million copies, 5 million at $60. How much money is that? Game Pass for a year, how much money is that if you put the same amount of users who are playing that or buying Game Pass? It's probably more money on Game Pass, because like if I'm going to buy just Gears of War, maybe I'm going to buy Gears of War and Halo. That puts me at $120 for the year. If I have Game Pass for the whole year, I'm spending more money with Microsoft at $15 a month.
I just gotta say, when you said fake math, in my mind, you rolled out a whiteboard
Yeah.
and you wrote Game Pass equals profit and just a whole lot of dollar signs, and like just dropped the pen and was like, it checks out. Look, that what more can I say? And then you put like Xbox minus Game Pass equals not as much profit.
Yeah.
And that
I
was
mean,
it.
because I'm not going to sit here and try to like do any sort of math and embarrass myself about like, yeah, if they sold 10 million of this at $60, like I'm not doing that. I'm not going to try to
Oh
pretend.
yeah, no doubt. No, I mean what you said, I feel like makes sense because it was the bait and switch. They got us all to join for $1,
Hmm.
or upgrade just like I said, I've been riding that dollar since what 3 years ago at this point. I think now 3, 4.
Yeah. I'm not on the dollar anymore either, but I was on that for a while.
Yeah, and now I don't mind paying the monthly premium, whatever, what have you. So clearly, they've made their money off of me. They're cool with me. They're like, I can go away, it doesn't matter. So clearly they're making money. But what I'm saying is, like you said, these promotions are gonna end, and we're gonna have to start spending real amounts of money. I mean, when I
Hmm.
say real, I mean in enough to where enough people are like, whoa, like, crap, I've ducked off, however many dollars a year into this. Maybe not, especially in because I had a show about this. The reason I'm thinking the viability of Game Pass financially speaking was, remember they were about to double the price of Xbox Live,
Yeah.
and you don't double a price of a service without notification, without a very financial strong reason.
Yeah.
My personal opinion can't prove that. I can't do no math, but
Pull out the whiteboard. Pull out the whiteboard.
all right, hold on. All right. You see here, lost profit, double Xbox Live profit, $ done. There we go. Thank you, board.
I think the thing with Xbox Live was, I think it was stupid, but I think part of that was because I remember reading that I don't think they never upped the price of Xbox Live for like 10 years, but then they tried to up, instead of having like an incremental increase within that 10-year span, they were just like, yeah, no, we'll double it. So I think that was a really bad decision, but I think that's probably why that was so drastic. But at the flip side, I could see them raising the price of Game Pass maybe in a year or two to not something crazy, but maybe by a couple dollars, see what they can get away with. Because anytime someone like Netflix raises their price, like I always see people talking about it in a negative way, but how many of those people are actually canceling Netflix? I don't know.
Yeah, most definitely. Like you said, Game Pass is here to stay, and this is clearly Xbox's MO. Like this is the hill they will die on, so to speak. I'm not saying they're gonna die, but they've picked this. Maybe not all eggs in this one basket, but definitely a lot of them. So I'm just wondering, because if we look at media as a whole, beyond gaming, especially with, dear God, these new streaming services, Paramount Plus, I'm just like, I'm sorry.
There's too many.
Like I love Nickelodeon and that's my childhood, but just no, I'm not. I'm drawing the line here. Like Disney was like, okay, that's Disney. That's kind of hard to argue with.
Yeah.
Like you never go to Disney Plus and not find something to watch.
That's true.
But so, and then even with cable's getting more. It's going. There was this interesting article I read about the uptick in pirating because streaming services are getting to the points of ridiculousness. That. So for every new streaming service, those shows are pulled from elsewhere. Like Peacock, which I still think is the most random one to date. Even more random than Paramount Plus. That's the only place you can watch the Harry Potter movies and the only place you can watch The Office. Not a fan of The Office, so thank God. I lived with so many people that would just put on Netflix and just have The Office going on all weekend. Like, I just can't. So I'm happy because no one really messes with Peacock like that. Oof.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Peacock is whatever. I mean, there's a lot now. Like for a little while, for a little while, I was watching something on CBS All Access, but then I like didn't cancel that service for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, where like I always forgot that I was paying for it, and every time I saw it on my statement, I'm like, damn it, I need to cancel this because I don't watch anything on this, and then I would always forget to actually cancel it, and I finally canceled it like recently, but
yeah, and let's just say gaming follows this model, right, where because we already have the big three, you know what I'm saying? And then especially with Microsoft's move, Microsoft, I wouldn't say has thrown the gauntlet down, but they have thrown it down in such a way to where it can't be ignored with the acquisition of Bethesda. This isn't like, I don't want to, when I say small, I just mean in volume and size and monetary value. Not saying that any of the studios that they acquired were small and struggling or anything of that nature. But, they've acquired hefty names.
Oh, yeah.
And, and then it's like, Santa Monica Studios, like, they're pretty much under Sony's umbrella. But to the best of my knowledge, they could make a game for anyone else. I don't think they're contractually obligated only to make games for Sony. They could be. I don't believe. I'm not sure. But I don't think that is true. I could be wrong on that. Y'all can let me know in the comments or what have you. So, with Microsoft's move, I could easily see Sony being like, okay, these are Sony studios, I'm just saying Ubisoft. I don't think they would. That would be crazy. That would blow my forever loving mind.
Yeah, that would be nuts.
Yeah, but let's say they're like, okay, Ubisoft not only makes games for Sony, and then Nintendo goes. I don't even know. Like, I couldn't even see Nintendo doing that, and even if they did, I'm like, who would they even get? Like,
yeah, no, I don't think that's happening.
Nintendo will still be Nintendo. So then, what'll be even worse. So then we're left with this great divide. it would be literally like you have Nintendo games, Sony games, and Xbox games, quite literally, and then every game company in creation falls under one of those three umbrellas. And then what happens to game? What happens to like something like Game Pass? It will be in this weird microcosm. And I only say this because media as a whole has already followed this trend, and especially with Xbox move, it wouldn't be unthinkable that this happens. What does gaming look like after that?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. I think that's like horrible worst case scenario if everything starts getting scooped up exclusively like that. I don't think that will happen, only because even if physical media continues to go away and like becomes less what people are buying, the fact that like Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo all have digital storefronts where you can buy Assassin's Creed, no problem. You can buy some other developer's game, no problem. As long as those storefronts don't go away, then I don't think you'll ever see like you can only play Ubisoft games if you get Ubisoft Plus, because I feel like they would be alienating so many customers and it would end up not working out for them, because like we said, it's not like you can't buy any of those Microsoft games. You can still purchase them. You don't have to have Game Pass, but more people would probably opt into Game Pass for certain scenarios. If someone has an Xbox and they love Bethesda games, they're probably never buying a Bethesda game ever again because they can just keep Game Pass. But for someone who doesn't really want to get down with Game Pass, but they really like Fallout, they're probably going to buy the next Fallout, no problem.
Yeah. What if it's the umbrella scenario where it's not that you have to have Ubisoft Plus or EA Access or what have you, but those games are only viable on a Sony system?
That would be horrible. Like unless Sony's gonna buy Ubisoft.
In this scenario, they own Ubisoft.
Yeah,
like in the same sense they own, and then whoever they would acquire.
Yeah, I hope the industry doesn't go that way, because I feel like the more you consolidate stuff, it can get to the point where it it might stifle creativity, or there might be less games from those studios, or maybe it's a way oversaturation where Sony's like, we want a new Assassin's Creed every year, we want a new Rainbow Six every year or whatever. So it could get to the point where if everything gets scooped up that way, not great. But
essentially the death of third party, I guess, would ultimately be the end result.
For sure.
Yeah. And I wonder, could gaming survive like that? Because I can honestly say, let's say this Bethesda acquisition goes great, and dare I say too great. I mean, would you assume Sony would have to be forced to do something in kind? And obviously not going the Game Pass route, but they definitely have the money or push, I'd say, to acquire somebody, or multiple people.
The thing is I don't think, I know there's rumors that there's another big Microsoft acquisition in the works. I would personally be shocked if it was anything bigger than this, and I would be shocked if Nintendo or Sony ever made a purchase this big, because $7.5 billion is a lot of money, and
nothing to sneeze at.
And when I think about like other developers or like companies out there that I think would be worth that, I don't know. Like, would there be a lot of value if Sony bought, if they bought Capcom, or if they bought Square Enix, or if they bought Ubisoft? Yeah, there's a lot of value there, but do they want to spend all that money to potentially, I don't know. Like it's so tough, because like when do you make that money back? Like Microsoft is a big company. Like they have a lot of money outside of their gaming realm. Like they have a lot of money, so they can play this game. They can scoop up people and factor that into their budget as a company. Sony also does outside of games too, but I think Microsoft is a much bigger company, like as a whole, than Sony is. So I don't know. I hope Microsoft doesn't keep scooping people up, because I feel like that will also be really negative in the long run for just like consumers and gamers. but I don't think it's the end. But I don't. I would be really surprised if we got another like, damn, Sony just bought Capcom. Now every Resident Evil, Street Fighter, Monster Hunter is PlayStation only. That would stink for gamers. That would be bad.
To quote, what's his name? Kingpin from Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse. It's not always about the money, Spider-Man. But with that said, actually, I wish you didn't say that because, I was thinking like Ubisoft and EA, like things that, let me say realistically, not going to happen. Like that's,
Yeah.
But like Square Enix and Capcom being purchased by Sony, I feel like that's
It's possible.
Because if you think about, especially Capcom, especially with Street Fighter being console exclusive with PlayStation, and then just other console exclusive limited or fully that they've had with Sony.
Mm-hmm.
If they acquire Capcom fully, all the properties and going for that wouldn't be too far from what the truth kind of already is. Same thing with Square Enix. With the Final Fantasy limited exclusivity, I can't say that word right now. And the same thing with the Kingdom Hearts game, more or less virtually being exclusives for PlayStation, with the spin-offs being like Nintendo exclusives for whatever reason, how that works.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, they eventually just made their circuit to everything. But these companies have already closely worked with Sony in some shape, form, or fashion with basically having their games only on their platform. So if, Sony was like, hey, we got to, show some type of weight, force, power in the industry. And, they're both, the fact that they're all Japanese founded companies probably makes that acquisition, that transition even easier from a business standpoint.
It's crazy. I mean, it's definitely not off the table. It could definitely happen. I think I would say it's probably more likely that Sony just does what it is currently doing, which is like, hey, we're going to throw some money at you, Atlas, make Persona 6 a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Hey, Square, we're going to throw some money at you. I think Final Fantasy 16 is a PlayStation 5 exclusive, I think, right?
Yeah, I think console exclusive, that's the new hot phrase where, it's console only, then it's on, PC from whatever, you get your PC games from, whatever service they put it on.
So, I mean, I think that model works for them currently, and I think it can still stay, viable for them for a long time, if not forever, because, throwing, whatever it may be, a couple 100,000 at Capcom to get Street Fighter 6, maybe it's a couple million, or dropping $1 billion plus to buy something. I think those are very different things that maybe the risk you don't have to take if the other thing is working. Because I mean, Sony does throw money, like you said, to scoop up some. Like they got Persona 5, and they have Street Fighter 5, and they have there's something else I'm forgetting. I feel like there's another big one. I don't know, but they have that ability to grab onto some of those things. It didn't work so much for Microsoft. They tried it with Tomb Raider. They had like the Tomb Raider exclusivity. Oh, Final Fantasy 7 was what I was thinking of. Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Okay.
But like Microsoft tried that with Tomb Raider. When they did the second or the third game, I can't remember. I think it was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and that game didn't really sell that well. So it was probably better for Microsoft that they didn't, try to purchase Eidos or Square Enix, and instead just, threw up an exclusivity deal.
Yeah. And, for anyone that's out there worrying, preparing for, the gaming apocalypse, and when, you have to literally, make some blood oath to Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, and, swear off the other two. Well, maybe not Nintendo. Nintendo's always going to be on their island just doing their thing.
Yeah.
But
reselling Mario 64 for $60. That's what they're going to
do. To give you some comfort, a lot of people would argue that everything Microsoft is doing was to catch up with Sony and to be viable with Sony, because it's not a stretch to say that when you compare Microsoft to Sony, Xbox to PlayStation, that PlayStation has been the unanimous winner, more or less, most of the time. Not to say that Xbox was ever just doing bad, but if you had to give the trophy year in year out to somebody between the two, usually it was in Sony's court, most of the time.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it definitely, at least with this past generation, I think a lot of people would probably, agree that Sony had a lot of really great games and Microsoft maybe didn't.
yeah. So a lot of people, you could look at this as Microsoft being like, and when I say this, I don't mean this intentionally, like Sony was literally doing this, but they're not going to be pushed around by Sony, figuratively speaking anymore. And now that they're doing this, they're like, because people all have always, made the ranking of like, Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, or Sony at the top, and then Xbox and Nintendo, they can flip flop. But with this, it's, and I appreciate this most for the part because I've always said up until Gamepass and up until this Bethesda acquisition, I've always believed in my heart no one could prove me wrong or change my mind that Microsoft was always in this for the money and never the games. And of course, yes, money is important. I know that. But when you look at Nintendo, you can tell there's a care of the craft. Look at Sony and all the AAA titles they put out and the quality of their games. And Microsoft was more or less like, we're going to churn out a Halo. We're going to churn out a Gears. We're going to have all the FPSs because, that's what people like. And now I for the first time ever since Microsoft made Halo 2, honestly, I feel like they're in this for the consumer in terms of quality and not profit.
Mm-hmm.
And that excites me because, that's like, that only means better games, ultimately.
Yeah.
So
that's all we care about, better games.
Yeah, that's ultimately, I keep saying this running joke and I don't know when I'm going to stop. It ain't about the teraflops. It's one a good game. That word means nothing to me. It's like I remember when the consoles were first coming out, I was like, ooh, Xbox has more teraflops, but Sony has more GPU XP9. I'm like, yay?
Yeah, all that technical stuff, like, it's great. Give me something that, can look beautiful and run great, but if it doesn't have games that I care about, then I mean, the Switch is clearly an underpowered console compared to the others, but I play a lot of games on my Switch because it has a lot of games that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, let Mario Kart. Hey, I'll go for Mario Kart. That might be fun. Let Mario Kart be a testament. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, to be exact, to be a testament of, hey man, a good game is just a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a game that already released, which is basically the Switch's MO at this point. But hey, I digress. But thank you, sir. Thank you for having, this very intellectual, deep conversation about Xbox with me, essentially. And,
yeah, of course.
The other topics, but this, we really got in the weeds on this one. That was fun. But Brenden, thank you again. And real quick, where can people find you, catch up with you, chat with you, tell you I'm crazy for, ever doubting Game Pass in any capacity?
If you want to, first of all, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to come on and kick it with you. Have some good conversations about everything. But you can find me at bgroom, BEGROOM on Twitter, everywhere. Come yell at me about my terrible takes and for sticking up for Xbox, because people like to argue about that stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you can follow Pass the Controller at Pass Controller. Where our podcast is everywhere. Our website is passthecontroller.io, and if you take the time, great, check it out. If not, keep kicking it with Odell over here on Full Circle, because he's doing great stuff too.
Yeah, y'all should though, because as I always say, checking out stuff is free 99. Don't cost you a dime. But if you want to spend money, I do got a Patreon, Full Circle Productions, Full Circle Podcast. You can find that links in the descriptions below. But, like, share, subscribe. But shout out to my Patreons supporting me every month. Gabriel Garcia, Rachel Coleman, Bake Rice, Ryan Frazier. Y'all are cool. Thank you, anonymous donators. I don't know who y'all are, but y'all are cool too. And, thank you for kicking in another week. We'll be back next week. We've been doing this thing now for going on, 3 years, people. 3 years of podcasting weekly. Like, I find it crazy. Because if you'd have told me 3 years ago, I would have made a podcast every week, minus, like natural disasters and whatnot, would not have believed you. Not at all. especially to have great guests like Brenden here over here, bringing knowledge, making me sound like I know what I'm talking about.
You do know what you're talking about. Listen, I love your show. I'm happy that I was able to come on again, and I'm happy that you're still doing it. 3 years in.
Oh yeah, no man, definitely I appreciate you. But that's it for this week, everybody. As always, have a great week and be blessed.